Even when Sacramento State football wins, it doesn't necessarily win. A very good victory over Northern Colorado during homecoming weekend was overshadowed by a post-game incident, a fight during the Lil'Yachty concert. An incident, by the way, local media decided to blow way out of proportion because they need to anger bait those Granite Bay boomers.
After a post-game concert was cut short over the weekend because of quote-unquote behavior.
Then you have Sac State President Dr. Luke Wood going on TV during that Northern Colorado game to take pot shots at Montana.
We're looking forward to playing the Montana Pandas. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Look at you.
Montana Grizzlies.
Why would you poke that bear? That was a move, a decision that literally had absolutely no upside. There was nothing there of value. There was no win for you to make those comments about Montana.
And I want to personally welcome the Grizzlies with open arms.
We saw it. The guy's kind of a clown, right?
It was a JV play from an individual who seemingly doesn't want to be playing JV ball. Believe it or not, perhaps even naively, I still think Sacramento State's FBS plans, its push to play at the highest division of college football, are possible. Now, for that possibility to become reality, it's going to take a lot of effort and some critical thinking, two things that have been sorely lacking with current efforts to get the Hornets to FBS. So yeah, it's a long shot. It's not quite a Hail Mary long shot though. Think of it as a 4th and 15, unlikely to convert, but there's still a chance. Look no further than Marion L. Adams Memorial Stadium here in Rio Linda, home of the Rio Linda High School Knights, for proof of that. For it is in that very stadium, well, it didn't look as nice a few years ago. It's undergone some renovations in recent times, but it was right here where Cam Skattebo played his high school ball. Without much in the way of offers coming out of Rio Linda High School, Skattebo made his way to Sacramento State, where he had a star turn of fairly epic proportions. That led him to go to Arizona State and eventually the NFL, where he now plays for the New York Giants. Of course, Skattebo is not the only famous Rio Linda High School alum to make their way through this. What are we doing, birds? Shut up. Of course, Skattebo not the only famous Rio Linda High School alum over the Skattebo, of course, Jesus fucking Christ. Skattebo, of course, not the only famous Rio Linda High School alum. Major League Baseball pitcher Darren Oliver also played at the school. And you have my personal favorite philosopher, Justin Smith Ruru, who is just, I mean, if you enjoy your philosophy, if you're a philosophy mark like I am, with a little bit of Rio Linda mixed in, few references from Rio Linda, then you're going to love him. Check out his Substack. But back on topic, back to what we're here discussing today, Sacramento State football's FBS push. Playing FBS football would provide a greater platform for student athletes, but it also creates other opportunities throughout the school. This is something I've mentioned in the past in other videos, but FBS football also offers opportunities to the likes of student media, marketing, game day operations, sports medicine. There is so much that comes with FBS football, and these are benefits that often get lost in the shuffle by the Sacramento State administration. Sure, not every department is going to benefit from CSUS playing FBS football, but there is so much positive that does come with such a move. Yet the damnedest thing here is that I don't think anyone affiliated with the school, at least this push to FBS from Sacramento State, truly understands those benefits involved. That brings me to homecoming weekend. You see, there are really two, I don't want to say factions, but there are two groups involved with Sacramento State football at the moment. You, of course, have the students, and then you have the old heads. And let's start with the students, because quite frankly, in the past few years I've been observing CSUS football, I don't think they really care or know who they're playing most weekends. I don't think there is much of a desire to move up to FBS because they don't really realize what FBS is. FCS, FBS, it might as well be the same thing. Northern Colorado, San Jose State, there isn't this huge difference to students at the school. And that is especially true this year in 2025, where Sacramento State football is being marketed as a party, as an event, and not necessarily a football game. For the record, I have no issues with that. In fact, let students be students if they want to go to a football game at the school because it's fun, because it's something interesting to do that's not necessarily connected to who the football team is playing or what classification of football they are playing, so be it. Now look, there are a few things that definitely need to be cleaned up with this approach. I mean, for starters, you can't have one of the parking lots looking like a scene from Escape from New York. But if students do want to attend a Sacramento State game so they can get their drink on and they can get their smoke on and they can hang out and chillax and whatever it is they want to do, have at it. What I really found annoying with all of this drama surrounding that homecoming weekend in particular was just how uptight everyone was when it came to the post-match fight during the Lil'Yachty concert. Oh no, those kids at Sacramento State are wilding out again. Like, why is it in the world of college football, if it's white fans that are fighting, it's always like, oh, well, boys are going to be boys. Look, I was at Idaho when Vandal fans were punching the crap out of each other before the game even kicked off in the parking lot, tailgating, drunk as a skunk, and they were just beating on each other. I've seen Oklahoma fans in Oklahoma do the same types of things, but here in Sacramento at Sac State, it's a problem because why? Well, we know why. I'm not condoning this. I'm not saying it's good for there to be fights during post-game festivities at Sacramento State football games. Far from it. But I also believe there is certainly an element of race that's a part of this. Moving past that for the time being, the question is, if students could really care less about whether their football team is FBS or FCS, then who is pushing this move? And that is going to be the old heads. The Sacramento State FBS dream appears to be supported by a lot of old-timers, alumni, individuals who are just desperate to be cool, who want to live vicariously through current students and get their dream of having an FBS program, and they don't want to use their own money for it. No, they want to use the money of those students. It's just such a weird approach to do this, a disingenuous one at that. And I mean, what's the upside here? Home and homes with Fresno State, a chance to go to a sparsely attended weeknight game? I kid, well, a smidge at least. I seriously believe those involved with the Sac-12 think they're going to go FBS and immediately be rubbing shoulders with the likes of Texas and Ohio State. There will be huge tailgates, celebrities on the sidelines, and regular visits from College game day. But as I've explained in the past, that ain't happening, at least not overnight. And then you have other things. You know, Dr. Luke Wood has championed the fact that Sacramento State football being FBS would unlock greater out-of-state enrollment, but that ain't happening either. Fresno State is a great comp here because their out-of-state enrollment isn't significantly higher than Sacramento State right now, despite the fact they've been playing FBS football and have been quite successful at it by the standards of the G5 over the years. Boise State didn't see their jump in enrollment until after the Fiesta Bowl, and that isn't a good strategy. Like, Boise State didn't go FBS to really have huge out-of-state enrollment gains. That just happened to be one of the benefits way down the road. And Sacramento State needs to understand your strategy for the school as it relates to FBS football can't be based on winning. That's a bad strategy because you can't plan to win. If you could, then everyone would be doing it. What I wonder is if anyone involved with Sacramento State's FBS goals, their plan, their strategy, whatever you want to call it, is taking a look over at Sam Houston State these days. Ah, yes, the Bearcats. The wheels have fallen off, even with a 9-win season and a bowl appearance in the bag. Turns out students don't want to foot the bill for what has become a money pit, even with the team being good. And there are struggles with Sacramento State and getting fees from their students as it relates to athletics already. That's a fight that's not going to get better. So here's been the play from Sacramento State and those old heads. They are trying to conflate parties, events, fun with football. Essentially fooling students. Well, if you use your student fees to help us build a new football stadium, more athletic facilities, there are going to be more parties, bigger parties, greater parties. If you liked Quavo, you're going to love Offset when he's here when we have a new stadium. It's just, they're trying to trick students here because we all know once a football stadium gets built, those concerts, those parties, they're gonna be irrelevant. The old heads already got what they wanted. And best of all, they didn't even have to pay for it. Given all of this, the question still becomes, why does Sac State need to be FBS, and how do they go about accomplishing that, considering their rollout the past 12, 14 months, their attempts to move up have been absolutely diabolically bad? For me, the answer here is simple. It's all about opportunity and visibility. Despite all of that poor planning, poor press conferences, a clunky, poorly thought out start to this move to FBS, there is something here that can be salvaged, and it should be salvaged for, again, opportunity and visibility. FBS schools can provide more of both for students across the board. I've already touched on the former, so let's just go ahead and double back on it now. When a school is playing FBS football, there are lots of opportunities. It's more than simply just a form of entertainment. Now, I also mentioned it's not going to impact every department on campus. Not everyone will see the benefits of opportunity, but they are fairly widespread. And then you do have the visibility aspect, something that Sacramento State has just utterly dropped the ball on when it comes trying to explain this move to FBS. So how does the visibility thing work? Quite frankly, it's actually simple. Being FBS can unlock greater value to every Sacramento State degree out there. And I know some will say, well, it doesn't change the education level, and you're absolutely right, but it does unlock more opportunities through visibilities when Sacramento State graduates do leave the confines of Sacramento, Placer, Yolo, Solano counties. Think about it like this. Someone beyond the Midwest is going to have a greater idea of an applicant or resume when they see Northern Illinois on it as opposed to Western or Eastern Illinois. And why is that? Well, it's because the Huskies are a FBS school, and they're going to have received greater visibility through playing football, whether that's MACtion on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, or all of the Huskies' successes in the Orange Bowl or whatever, Rocky Lombardi, all of that good stuff. A Northern Illinois degree becomes an entry point because the school does have football. For a lot of people, again, outside of the Chicago metropolitan area, the state of Illinois, it's a chance to go, oh yeah, I know that school from football. UC Davis, of course, has the academic cachet to not need that. Sacramento State does not have such an academic cachet and does need something to add on to their degrees. And football can be that thing, if anyone in the school actually bothered to realize that. This, of course, is huge for Sacramento State alums hunting for jobs, hunting for opportunities, again, outside the Sacramento Valley. Something that does occasionally happen, I suppose. There are also a lot of other reasons to support Sacramento State's move to FBS. Actual reasons, mind you, not the drivel turned out by school administration, which leads you to believe they may not understand the reality of things. Welcome to the Lil'Yachty, quote-unquote, town center. That's Bullwinkle's behind me. People like to say I hate Sacramento, or that I'm rooting against Sac State, and that cannot be further from the truth. I hate Rush Limbaugh, the absolute scum of the earth. And if you don't like me making that statement, tough titties. He, and by proxy his brain-dead group of lemmings, made it possible for me to say things like that. And that brings me back to here and Bullwinkle's. You see, Bullwinkle's has a Rush Limbaugh meal on the menu. My intense dislike for that bona fide human sack of crap does not stop me from eating at establishments like Bullwinkle's, where they have things like this delicious pastrami sandwich, which I'm not going to eat because that would be terrible to do on camera, but you get the idea. Sadly, the meal does not come with oxys or Dominican Viagra, making it somewhat historically inaccurate, but I digress. You see, it's possible to dislike certain elements of something without dismissing that entirely. I want to see Sacramento State athletics be successful and for football to move FBS if it makes sense. But you cannot blindly pursue a want, a desire with bad plans enacted by bad actors. See Wood, Joshua, proof of that. So how does this all work for Sacramento State? How can they get to FBS when right now their plan isn't much of a plan at all? And there are a lot of scammers looking to skim off the top. Let's start with something Dr. Luke Wood and AD Mark Orr have talked a lot about in the past. Becoming Sacramento, and even by proxy, Rio Linda's football team. One of the wildest things about Sacramento State football right now are ticket prices, in particular walk-up ticket prices. $30 for general admission, $22 for kids, add in $10 for parking. It costs you almost as much to attend a Sacramento State football game if you walk up as it does a Sacramento Kings game. No fooling, you can get discounted Sacramento Kings tickets if you're a member of Golden One Credit Union for about $43 a pop after fees. I think technically it's $45, but you get the idea. The difference between Kings ticket prices and Sac State football ticket prices aren't miles apart, and that is utterly absurd. Sure, the school does run promotions and whatnot, but for a lot of people in the city, Sac State football is not top of mind. Book ahead events. You want to become Sacramento's football team. You want people from Rio Linda and Alverta and North Highlands and Elk Grove and El Dorado Hills to come see the Hornets play. That starts with one thing: affordability. Because let's be completely real, no one attends a Sacramento State Hornets football game and leaves thinking, I need to come back to see that. It's basically like going to see a Northern Colorado game in Greeley, except the stadium in Sacramento has lights. I mean, hey, that's something. Also, Sacramento not as smelly as Greeley, but that can't be the bar here, right? Sadly, Sacramento State's excuse is Hornet Stadium. Oh, well, if we had a better stadium, we could do more. But there's nothing stopping the school from having better game day operations, from doing more to get fans involved, from making sure people actually care about the football, not just the post-game concerts. I mean, appropriately hitting cues for the dance team to start dancing is Route 1 stuff. It should not be that difficult. Students handed the school $6 million last year to make improvements to Hornet Stadium over the summer, and yet the video board still has a dead square in it? Like, come on, guys. It's not that everything needs to be perfect or polished at Sacramento State football when it comes to the game day experience, but you cannot be both expensive and bad. And right now, going to a game at Hornet Stadium is expensive and the experience is bad. Everything with Sacramento State's attempt to move to FBS boils down to one thing: the stadium situation. And while Rio Linda here did make some nice improvements to their stadium, some much needed improvements, it does seem like this was far more of a reality than anything happening over on CSUS's campus. So the thing here that I learned from homecoming weekend in particular is that the school cannot move their stadium off campus. That Cal Expo plan should be scrapped immediately. Students are not going to Cal Expo to watch Hornet football. They go to games because it's easy, it's kind of fun. If they're lucky, there's going to be a concert after the game, but it has nothing to do with Sacramento State football, like, at all. It's just there happening in front of them. So if that party is going to become less convenient to get to, I can't imagine students are going to want to put in that effort. No, they'll just party somewhere else on campus or somewhere closer. And some will say, well, Cal Expo isn't that far from Sacramento State's campus. But the entire premise of Sac State and their work over the past decade or so has been like, we need to get more students on campus. Now that you've done that, you're gonna move the football team off campus? It's stupid. How those Hornet old heads don't see that is beyond me. So the name of the game here becomes improving their current stadium, Hornet Stadium. And I don't believe this needs to be done with some inordinate amount of money, some huge ego-driven project where you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build a fancy, shiny new stadium, because Sac State doesn't have that money and they're already tapping the students way too hard when it comes to athletics.
I know I've tapped you so hard.
Yes, you have tapped this hard.
You can still make real improvements though that make the game day experience a better one. First and foremost, you gotta get rid of the running track. Like, Hornet Stadium just seems so disjointed and so far apart. Remove the running track, add a better video board, set up some sort of luxury seating and a chair back section similar to what Nevada did with Mackey Stadium, where you have one really nice side and then you just have some bleachers surrounding the rest. That, by the way, is what basically the plan is for Cal Expo. They're gonna take the horse racing stand that exists and dolly it all up, make it super fancy, but everything else is just gonna be modular, most likely bleacher seating. Why not just recalibrate those on-campus plans to make them realistic? Admit, hey, we jumped the gun. We aimed way too high in our initial effort, so we're going to scale things back and we're going to do something realistic, and we're gonna do that on campus at Sacramento State. Then when you have those realistic plans in hand, don't go to students, don't ask them for more fees. No, You go to donors, you go to the highfalutin Sac 12 and their $50 million in pledges, wink. You tell them straight up, the only reason Sacramento State has a football team and a football team playing FCS today, right now, the reason the school didn't go the likes of Cal State Hayward, or San Francisco State, or all the other California schools that were at D2 during the 90s and disappeared is for a very simple reason.
There's no way that we would have a 22,000 seat football stadium with modern lights, a modern scoreboard, a nice press box without Fred and his dream.
Fred Anderson put up his own money to add 20,000 seats at Hornet Stadium, because before then it had 6,000 or 7,000 depending on where you look. It was nothing but a recreational facility. But Fred Anderson needed to have seats for his Sacramento Surge, and then that became the Sacramento Gold Miners, and he put his own money. He didn't ask the school for a dime. He simply gifted it to them. And that is why today that stadium is home to Fred Anderson Field. So yeah, all those old heads bopping around Hornet Stadium trying to look cool, it's time to put your money where your mouth is if you're serious about the school's football team playing FBS in the future. Stop demanding Sac State students pay for something you want to fulfill some desperate desire to relive and rewrite the past. Y'all can pose for all the photos you want and talk about how great FBS would be for Sacramento State, but when the collection plate gets passed around, when it comes time to actually put up some of your money, you don't have any. All you have is IOUs and strings attached pledges. That, a Quavo concert, and a president talking breezy will get you, well, FCS football, something you already have now. Sacramento is a place where people love to talk and plan and scheme, and then when it comes time to walking, well, a lot of those people, I guess, have never listened to Quavo when he was in Migos.
Walk it like I talk it. Hey, walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it.
There is still time for Sacramento State to salvage its push to become an FBS football playing school. Although it is going to require some work, it's going to require people stop talking and start walking. And that tends to be a solution that never really happens in Sacramento, but hey, it's still a possibility. Anyway, thank you for watching this video from Rio Linda, one of my least favorite places in Sacramento, but hey, I am still here. I am Cheyenne Hollis. This is the Touchback. For more Sacramento sports related content, you can check out the playlist in the upper right hand corner of your screen. And until next time, hashtag take it out to the 25.